Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz, and today we will be doing another tank comparison video, except it won't be on a tank. It will instead be on a module of the tank, specifically a gun, and it is this vehicle, the Challenger, the Tier 7 British tank destroyer, which is going to be asking the question of whether you play this thing with the 20-pounder gun or the 17-pounder gun. Here we go. So yeah, it's whether or not you play it. Sorry, a 32-pounder gun, not a 20-pounder, but a 32-pounder, or the 17-pounder gun. Which one do you play it with? And this is going to be my opinion, which means that you'll probably tell which gun I'm going to talk about, or which gun I'm going to prefer. And it is this, the 32-pounder. I just prefer playing it with the 32-pounder. Statistically, however, the 17-pounder is the better gun to have. It outclasses the 32-pounder in almost every way, but in my opinion, it is the 32-pounder, and I will explain why, and then, like normal, there will be gameplay in this video as well. So, 32-pounder versus the 17-pounder gun. Why do I... Well, we'll first have a look at the stats, rather, of the two tanks, of the two guns, rather. And then we will, then I will discuss them a bit, and then I will show you gameplay of the two, showing why I prefer the 32-pounder over the 17-pounder gun. So the stats of them: the 32-pounder has got a 3.9 second aim time with 0.33 dispersion and a 2100 DPM with a 7.13 second reload time. 220 average pen with AP, 252 with APCR, 47 with HE, 250 average damage with AP, 190 with APCR, 330 with HE, 10 degrees of gun depression, and 20 degrees of gun elevation. So now the stats of the 32-pounder. Now for the stats of the 17-pounder, it's got 0.3 aim time, 0.28 dispersion, with a 2,500 DPM and a 3.74 second reload time. 171 average pen with AP, 239 with APCR, 20 with HE, 160 average damage with AP, 135 with APCR, and 200 with HE, with the same 10 degrees of gun depression, 20 degrees of gun elevation, and slightly worse firing on... Slightly worse concealment whilst firing this tank, strangely. Probably because you're firing more, perhaps. Not sure why. But yeah, there you go. So there are the stats. So statistically, there are a lot of greens up here and a lot of reds down here for the 17-pounder gun. But the reason that I prefer playing with the 32-pounder over both of these, over the choice of the two, is this area, the red area on the 17-pounder gun, because whilst the green areas on the 17-pounder gun are nice, a lot of them don't actually matter too much in terms of how good the gun is. Both guns are, I think, good guns. They both have got drawbacks and they've both got good points about them, but specifically it's the dispersion and the aim time that I'm going to be looking at here between the two of them. So as you can see, the 17-pounder gun has got worse average penetration across the board and worse average damage across the board for the same gun depression, because you can mount the 17-pounder in both the stock and the upgraded turret, but you can only mount the 32-pounder in the upgraded turret. Something to note, I suppose, because the stock turret does actually have slightly better, well, much better armour. It's actually got double the armour that the upgraded turret has. But it doesn't matter because it's all flat. It's 101 flat. You're not going to be bouncing anything off it anyway, really. But yeah, so as you can see, the 32-pounder has got the better average damage. It's got slightly better pen with its APCR, its premium, and it's also got better pen on its regular armor piercing. It also gets over double the high explosive pen, but it's not quite Hesh, unfortunately. It also gets better average damage, which is another reason that I like playing this tank, this gun rather. Messing up all my words. But yeah, the green points on the 17-pounder may attract a lot of people. It does have better aim time. It also has better dispersion. It also has better DPM. And a reload time that's cut in half because the shells are a smaller caliber. However, even though this stuff is better than the 32-pounder, with regards to the average damage, average dispersion and aim time, however, this gun still has very good average dispersion and average aim time. It's really really very good. Even though it is statistically inferior to a 17-pounder mounted on the same vehicle, it is still very good. 0.33 accuracy is still very, very accurate. 3.9 second aim time is still very quick. The average DPM does go down, which is why a lot of people don't play with the 32-pounder, because whilst, yes, you can get better DPM with the 17-pounder, it's a case of whether or not you can actually keep the enemy in your sights for long enough, which, for a lot of enemies, they'll either repair it, or they'll do something else, or you'll get distracted, or you'll need to move, or something like that, so that you don't, or they'll get out of your line of sight just by driving, because whilst it is very easy to keep people permatracked if they don't have a repair kit ready, it's a case of whether or not you can permatrack them in time, because the bigger the shell, the more critical damage it will do. So whilst it'll only take maybe 1 or 2 shots with a 32-pounder to detract a tank, it may take 3 or 4 shots with a 17-pounder to detract the same tank, even though it's the same tank. But because these shells are bigger, they do more damage to modules, which means that you'll blow off tracks a lot more easily and a lot more regularly using this gun, rather than just damaging them to yellow like you do on the 17-pounder, which is something that you'll see in the gameplay later on when I'm using the 17-pounder, where if I'd been using the 32-pounder, things might have gone differently. So yeah, even though this thing does have statistically better damage, it's still very good accuracy and aim time, either one. The 17-pounder does get 4 more shots off in a minute in comparison to the 32-pounder. If we have a look, as you can see, the DPM goes up 460, and so it's about 3 extra average damage shots per minute with the 17-pounder as opposed to the 32-pounder. But even so, 2100 DPM. If we have a look at some of the other tier 7 tank destroyers, you've got the Young Panther here, which has got 2800. It's a machine with this 88mm gun on it. The E25, God, don't even want to look at the DPM on that thing. What's the DPM on this? Oh, 3000. Oh, that's a lot of DPM. This thing has got 3100. That's got even better DPM. So, using either gun, if we have a look at the 87, what's this thing got? With the 20-pounder, it's got 2500 DPM. So whilst it does lose out on DPM with the 32-pounder, it's still the worst in terms of DPM out of any tank destroyer at this tier, apart from the Blaze, which, let's be honest, the Blaze and the Vindicator. Now, the Vindicator does have supposedly decent damage DPM, but even so, in comparison to anything that isn't this, it loses out on DPM, no matter which gun you use. And honestly, having the better penetration, the better damage to the better critical damage to modules you get with the shells of this caliber, and also the average damage that you do, means that you can quite often turn some situations around or help out in other situations where, even though you have better DPM with the 17-pounder, you just can't quite get the killing blow on an enemy tank, whereas you can in the Challenger. Not in the Challenger. We're always in the Challenger. I need to stop doing that. With the 32-pounder gun, because the 32-pounder gun just has got the potential to make clutch killing shots. Because don't forget, turrets and tank destroyers never turn their turrets very quickly. This has only got a 16 degrees turret traverse, and whilst the 17-pounder does have the better DPM, it doesn't quite have the killing potential that the higher damage on this thing has. It's a bit like the case of the E100 using the 150 or the 128. The 128 reloads quicker, but the 150's got the better average damage to kill tanks that need to be killed. Again, in the gameplay that I show later in the video of me using the 17-pounder after using the 32-pounder, there will be cases where the game could have been turned around or had its course changed had I been using this gun as opposed to the 17-pounder that I was using. And that just goes to show why I prefer the gun that's on this currently, as opposed to the 17-pounder, is purely because you can kill low health enemy tanks without needing multiple shots to do it. The 17-pounder does have a better DPM and will get more damage consistently, but when it comes down to actually making those shots that you need to kill a tank that's about to kill your allies, or a tank that's going to flank, or, you know, a very annoying tank that you need to have killed, you just can't do it in the 17-pounder, whereas you can with a single shot from this to then move on to different tanks. Again, like I said, this is my opinion. Some people will prefer the rapid-fire nature of the 6-pounder. Sorry, not the 6-pounder, the 17-pounder as opposed to the 32-pounder. The reason why I said 6-pounder was because another example of a choice like this of DPM versus damage is with the Churchill 3, because they gave the Churchill 3 the option to have a 75mm gun as opposed to its 6-pounder gun, and so some people will use the 6-pounder, some people will use the 75mm, and again that's a case of, do you want the higher rate of fire of the 6-pounder, or do you want the average damage of the 75mm? It's again the same with this. Do you want the higher damage of this 32-pounder as opposed to the DPM of the 17-pounder? And in most cases, I would prefer to have the higher alpha damage of this thing combined with the better penetration as well of this gun, as opposed to the more rapid fire but lower penetration, lower damage gun that is the 17-pounder. But anyway, so there's that. I'll now show you the two games that I have for this tank. One game, the first game I will show is using the 32-pounder, and then we'll have a look at the 17-pounder, and then I'll go over the conclusion from there. So, here we are, Port Bay Challenger. This is with the 32-pounder gun. So, 32-pounder gun, it is a tier 8 game, and I'm planning on going to assist the heavy tanks by sitting in a bush down at the port area and just supporting the heavies that way. Getting shots on the enemy heavy tanks that should be pushing up through the town. So I am the fastest tank on our team, followed by the Panther, who just isn't quite as fast as this weird medium tank destroyer hybrid. Cut in front of the Lurver there. I gave him plenty of space. I didn't crash into him like other inconsiderate people do to me, and to probably most people. I actually made sure that I had enough to pass the Lurver. I'm sitting behind the bush because I don't want to get spotted when I fire, but no one gets spotted. Everyone's come over this side, which is fair enough, but yeah, no one's come over this side, so I take it upon myself to be the scout for the team. They're all going to be going over by the river, I'm anticipating. Either that or we're very slow on spotting them, so instead I decide to come over here towards the river area and just see what I can do. I avoid crashing into the wall because considerate about people's property. Except for oh, there he is, T44 there. So there's our first tank spotted. It's been 1 minute and 15 seconds into the game and we've spotted one tank, and finally a Tiger 1 has been spotted as well. So I don't want to push any further because that T44 is going to be coming around the corner, and as I say that, there he is. Gets spotted firing through the thing. I put one nice shot straight through his side for 255 damage. He's now spotted me, and so I'm now trying to bait a shot into him. We're both jockeying, see what we can do, and I decide to take the jump down and avoid him. Most of the other enemy tanks have now been spotted, which in the town, or sorry, in the port area, so they finally decided to show up to the battle 2 minutes in. But yeah, he misses his first shot on me, and I think, screw this, I'm going to back it up, see if there's anyone around me. There isn't. What's he going to do? Is he going to drop down? It looks like he is, and then he backs up and he's going for our tank destroyer. So instead I decide to go for that Tiger over there. And I wasn't too sure which side of the warehouse he was on, so I have a look, fire a shot into him, 245, leave him on 2 health. And so I miss out on the killing shot, which the T28 Pro does. Again, very unfortunate. There's that Panther over there. There's the Predator, IF, and bang. Unfortunately, don't know where that shot went. Ghost shell, got absorbed by the wall. I don't know. I'm going for the tracking shot, but then he just turns his back to me, so 261, I'll take it. Again, maybe if I had been using the 17 pounder, I might have been able to get a kill on him. But even so. There's a Charioteer, there's a Panther. Luckily bounced a shot off the Tiger, and yeah, we bounced the first shot there. I have no idea how I bounced the Tiger's shot, if I'm honest, but I decided to close the distance and go underneath him, and that was a lucky penetration. If I'd been using the 17 pounder, there's no way I would have been able to pen him. Charioteer's down, there's just the Panther and the Tiger 2 up there to go. My next shot, luckily, goes straight into his cupola. Again, not too sure how that penned. That wasn't APCR, that was just a very low roll. But here you go, Panther. I actually have the power to finish him off there, because he wasn't really causing us that much of a hassle, if I'm honest. That wasn't exactly a good example of the killing blow that I talk about with this gun. But still, he could have become a nuisance, and I was able to finish him with a single shot. That T-44 has shown up to the party. I'm trying to get the kill on this Tiger 2. Rolling around the corner. The ISU gets spotted, but luckily he is AFK, and as I roll around the corner, unfortunately I'm just too slow to get the kill on the Tiger. The Lurver takes it, but the ISU is luckily AFK, which if he hadn't been, I might have been in big problems going around the corner there. But luckily, put one shot into him, still observing the T-44 there. I am able to put another shot, farm a little bit of damage off him. There we go, 249, and well, here comes the T-44. My first shot, luckily, bang, straight into him. There you go, as he comes around the corner, and he's now fixated on me. He really wants to kill me. And maybe I've been able to get a couple more shots with the 17 pounder, but there you go, lovely 240 shot. Also, on the same flip of the coin, we all know how troll T-44s can be. My next shot misses there, unfortunately. We all know how troll T-44s can be with their armor profile. 17 pounder shots might have easily bounced off of him. Whereas this gun will just go straight through like that for 268, and down he goes for, yeah, 2,600 damage, which is very nice indeed. First class mastery, we got a Confederate, 39,000 credits with ×2 there. Top of the team, which, yeah, very nice. 16 shots fired, 13 hits, 11 pens. We did bounce that one shot somehow from the Tiger 2 here, and we did injure his commander there. We also got 1,000 damage on that T-44 at the end, which is very nice, and we farmed a little bit of damage off the ISU. But there you go, so there's the 32 pounder gun. But now I will show you the 17 pounder gun game that I have for you. So we're here on Castilla, which is probably one of the best maps for tank destroyers and medium tanks, if I'm honest. I really do like being tank destroyers and medium tanks here when it's a good situation. Which this game is, to be honest. For this gun, there are some good points where I was able to do stuff with this gun. But I will, however, be pointing out where I feel the 32 pounder would have been better in the situation. Or in this game in general, rather than me using this 17 pounder to get gameplay footage for this episode, I suppose you could say. So yeah, I'm going to head to base A with the medium tanks. Enemy tanks being spotted. I think that's the KV-2. No, the ARL. Yeah, so we're going to head all the way over here up to the top of a Castilla, because this is where tank destroyers and medium tanks go to get good shots at the tanks crossing over there, where that T-34 2GF is going, etc, etc. For some reason, the VK decides to push very far up, finds a nearly AFK P4306 anniversary, and here we go, KV-2, bang, one shot into it, and before I can reload, he's gone. That's a big problem with a gun like this, where it relies... The potential DPM is literally just that, it is potential. I had the potential to do lots of damage to that KV-2 being missed. Here is a good point of using this gun, I will admit. I can farm a lot of damage off this SU-100Y, but as you can see, the box tank, I'm trying to detrack him, and this thing just isn't doing the module damage to detrack him, where perma-tracking would then become effective, and that next shot unfortunately misses. The P43 is finished off our VK. But yeah. Again, potential damage on that KV-2 might have been very good, but he moved out of the way before I could get off my next shot, so I lost out on 100 plus damage using this gun, whereas I could have done with the 32 pounder. Now this T-34 2GF, yeah, I bounced my shot off of him. But yeah, here we go, put in some shots. And I'm playing a very dicey game because I see that they're capping base A, and I know I shouldn't be up here. I'm just trying to hide as much as I can here. You can see me checking to see how much I'm hiding, so that I can try and avoid being spotted by any medium tanks that come around, trying to sort of just hide in plain sight. Here's another good thing of using this gun, but I have to cut it short because we get spotted by the light tank. Next shot luckily finishes him off there, luckily hits him there, and unfortunately I don't quite manage to finish him off before I have to worry about the M41, and it's at this point that I have to sort of give up shooting at tanks for now over there whilst I try and deal with this M41. And this situation with the M41 is another good point of using this gun, I will admit. I can, however, quickly, well, quick for the turret, traverse and just finish a shot into him. But here's a good point of using this thing, which is that if I was using the 32 pounder, I wouldn't be able to win this exchange. Because now I'm dueling an M41, and my DPM is ever so slightly better than his. As you can see, I do fire slightly faster than he does. And there you go, I damage his ammo rack, which really helps with this duel, because I can now fire like 3 shots for his every one. So I do manage to finish him off, but unfortunately I now am unable to really get any shots into these guys. There's KB1S over there, shot misses, unfortunately. We are winning 5-4, but that's about to change as I spot the P43 own 6, and unfortunately I get finished off by him. And now is the problem, which is that we lose this game. The ARL has been taken out by the P43, and it's just this T-3485. Might have been able to win, but he takes a shot there, he misses his shot, his next shot bounces if you look. He takes a shot here, bang, his next shot bounces, and there's absolutely no way we're winning this game. Which is a shame, because I've done 2,500 damage. But, yeah, with this game, I might have been able to do a little bit more damage to the KV2. This was an ideal game, I will admit, for the 17 pounder here. But maybe if I'd been using the 32 pounder, I might have been able to, you know, keep that box tank detract. He maybe wouldn't have gone on to do 1,700 damage. If with the critical damage that I get from the 32 pounder, we might have been able to win that game. I might have been able to get an extra shot into the KV2. He died anyway without doing anything, so that didn't really matter. But yeah, I might have been able to do a bit more damage to that box tank. The T-34 might have died a bit earlier, which would have, again, he didn't do any damage, but it was valuable shots that my team could have used against tanks like the KV-1S or the P-43. Tanks like these that they might have been able to kill instead of having to deal with these things. But again, I was able to get some nice shots into their box tank when I was up there. Unfortunately, again, the critical damage just wasn't high enough for me to detract him, which was so frustrating with this gun, because I know I would have been able to detract him with probably the first shot I fired into his track. I probably would have been able to detract him with that 32 pounder. And whilst it wouldn't have been a perma-track, he probably would have repaired it, he'd have backed up, I put another shot into him, and then I'd detract him again. Even so, that might have helped our team here. But still, that was still 26 shots fired with 20 hits, 18 pens to do the same damage as I did with half the amount of shots in the other game. And it also didn't help that we did lose this game. As you can see, track damaged, track damaged, track damaged, track damaged, and ammo rack damaged. But yeah, all of these things are only damaged tracks, they're not destroyed tracks, which when you really, to show off the DPM of the 17 pounder, to show it off, you really want to be able to perma-track people. But when the gun just doesn't have the module damage to detract them in the first place, you can't use that potential DPM. At which point you might as well just have the higher damage and penetration of this gun to actually do damage and detract him, and then allow your team to damage him further. But unfortunately, yeah, we lost that game. The gun, it was a more ideal situation for the gun. Castilla is a very good map for getting rapid fire guns working to their fullest potential, especially on mediums if they can get up to where I was, mediums or tank destroyers. But yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's my opinion. I will stress again my opinion on which gun is better, the 17 pounder or the 32 pounder, and for me it's the 32 pounder. Again, Like I said, people will prefer the higher rate of fire and the higher DPM potential of the 17 pounder, but I prefer the killing potential, the higher alpha damage, and the better penetration with the still good accuracy of the 32 pounder in comparison. But yeah, so there you go, the Challenger. I'll thank you for watching, and goodbye.